Hello everyone, my name is Ivan Latyshev and I'm here in my studio in Barcelona. I'd like to tell you about my new album, which will be released in November 2025. It's called Music for the Sleeping Gods. This album is very meaningful for me. It's a continuation of my first album, The Eagle Nest. There is a deep concept behind both works, as they are connected to my personal spiritual path, the journey of my life and my heart. The Eagle Nest was a turning point, a major transformation in my life. Before that, I was creating a different kind of music, probably dance music, house, deep house, tech house culture. I played as a DJ, but in 2015, then I was in Nepal, something shifted inside me. The name of label came to me, along with a clear feeling of the sound I wanted to create from then on, and I suddenly realized how tired I was of the dance music. So I realized I couldn't continue growing in that field. I was exhausted, emotionally and professionally burned out. And little by little something began to unfold. I started to feel the first sounds, the first concepts of this new music. It was an incredible experience. At that time I recorded a piece called The Pokhara Lake. We were in a small town called Pokhara. A couple of years later, I found myself on a journey to Peru in South America, and that journey was both internal and external, an inner pilgrimage reflected in the outer world. That's how the Eagle Nest was born, and deep within the idea of the Eagle Nest lies a simple essence. It tells the story of the soul's journey. The soul, which in its wholeness abides in the true nature, in God, at some point decides to leave the Father, to explore matter. It longs to experience the material world. That is its purpose. So, the soul begins to explore matter. If you listen to the Eagle Nest from the very beginning, the first track opens a shamanic space, a kind of portal. Then comes Listen to Your Heart, a piece that feels like a blessing from the source, a message from the Father to the soul. It's as if the hero of this album is accompanied by beloved souls, by other parts of the whole, as he sets out on his journey. The soul goes far away from God, into deep experiences, into matter itself, and all of this mirrors our own lives. We see the same patterns in world events, different eras, wars, distortions, both dark and luminous moments. The soul learns through all of it, collecting the essence, the nectar of experience. And that is what the Eagle Nest is about, a dramatic, shamanic and complex album that carries the weight of profound inner experiences. The second album begins from a different point. From the moment then the soul starts to feel that something within is calling to awakening. There is something that steers it, something that pushes it towards remembrance. The soul begins to recall itself through thousands of aeons and lifetimes of experience. It starts to awaken, to remember its true nature, to return home. And that's that Music for the Sleeping Gods is about. It's about all of us, about people living seemingly simple lives, filled with stories that are anything but simple. We remember ourselves, we move toward our hearts, we open them, despite fear, despite pain, despite everything that life brings us. And life brings many things: betrayal, loss, birth, death, things fall apart and new things are born. And with this constant presence of death walking quietly beside us, we find the straight to look at life with open eyes. That's what this album is about, a kind of guide to awakening. And both albums are deeply connected to my personal path and inner transformations. And all those processes I have lived through are encoded into the music, and you can feel it. To my surprise, many therapists use this music in their work. People who facilitate in various therapeutic settings, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, breathwork, ceremonies. It all happens spontaneously. I never put up banners saying this music is healing or that it carries some special energy. It simply finds its own way. It moves there it needs to go. And for me, that truly matters is how the music is created. The first album took about 3 years to assemble. The second one, Music for the Sleeping Gods, has been the making for almost 4 years now. It's very important for me to catch that moment, then I'm not there. Then I disappear in the studio. That state is rare, it must be captured. Because from the mind you can compose a lot of beautiful music and admire it. We all do that, we admire the clever, polished music that's made by the mind. But I'm after the big fish. And that big fish is the state, then the music writes itself. And imagine, such a state, such an approach really exists, and it truly works. I can feel it through the way people respond to the music. It's a completely spontaneous process. Sound appears by themselves, melodies came on their own. It's a fascinating journey, and it can happen at any moment. Once I wasn't even planning to enter the studio. I didn't want to do anything. I was tired of music, completely drained. This happens quite often. Because between those moments of awakening and flow, there is always a phase that you feel deeply uncomfortable. Nothing seems right, you don't like your music, you want to delete everything, to sell all your gear. As an artist, I live from one of those moments to the next. One day I came to the studio just to clean, to wipe off the dust. I picked up the cloth and started cleaning. And suddenly this arpeggio began to play in my head. I thought, this sounds beautiful. I turned on the Prophet synth and started recording. And that's how unexpectedly the track Electricity of God was born, one of the deepest and most personal tracks from the Eagle Nest. It came completely spontaneously. I wasn't expecting it at all. I was just wiping dust. And in the end, it became one of the most profound works, a simple piece built on just 3 notes, yet incredibly deep and moving in its sound and inner structure. Because this track appears at the moment in the story, then the soul has gone far into matter. It still feels the call. It remembers where it came from, but it's already beginning to forget. And with each step, farther from the whole, the pain grows stronger, preparing the soul for the way back. And the second album, we take the journey home. We awaken. A very important part of my creative process is imagery. I always write music through images. Sometimes they come before the track appears, sometimes during the process. and sometimes even after. But most often I try to feel what is the music really about, to sense it in detail. In that sense, modular synthesis helps me a lot. Modulars are an incredible thing. I see life in the structure of a modular synthesizer as one and the same. If we sit by a river or the sea and listen carefully and step out of our usual rush, not scrolling through the phone, not running somewhere, we can simply listen. So, I'm sitting and the train passes by, people talk, waves come and go, a dog runs past, a plane flies overhead. Everything has its rhythm, its pulse. It's all happens spontaneously, seemingly chaotic, yet full of direction and meaning, and in that apparent chaos we discover the straight line of life itself, its pure movement, its flow. Modulars are just like that. They're unpredictable. You never know that will come out. You can plan something, patch this into that, twist a few knobs, but it always turns out different. And it's almost impossible to repeat. That's why modular synthesis is so essential for me. It brings that the same living chaos that exists in life.
И поэтому, например, если взять трек с первого альбома The Eagle Nest, который называется...
For example, in the track Brothers in the Wind from the Eagle Nest album, I had a vision of an ancient divine temple. Their golden eagles, the souls fly in to exchange their experiences. Up high, the old metal sheets rattle in the wind, creating a rhythm. And I use reverb to build that groove and atmosphere. And then you listen to the track, you can feel yourself standing in the vast sacred hall. The rhythm is born from the sound of those trembling metal sheets. And in my music, the sense of imagery is essential. For every track, I try to feel it deeply, to imagine its world in advance, and then wait for that moment, then inspiration arrives, then the music begins to write itself upon the foundation of that imagined space. And a good example is Lullaby, a piece recorded together with Dinara Yuldasheva, Dinaram. I imagined a lullaby that unites all the lullabies of the world. And I thought, a lullaby always carries the energy of the mother's voice, but there is a father. So I called my friend, guitarist Evgeny Nazarov, and I told him, Zhenya, we need the father. There cannot be a lullaby without both energies. In that piece, the voice represents the mother's energy and the guitar the father's. In the middle of the track, the father plays a solo, joined by live strings. It was amazing. We even brought in Zhenya's old Fender amp from the 70s. It was a magical experiment that ended beautifully. So yes, imagery in music is everything for me. And in the new album there are many such images. Just like the first one. It is built as a journey from beginning to end. The listener travels through the album its inner journey towards awakening.
посвящено матери.
and much of it is dedicated to the mother, to the feminine energy,
Та самая базовая энергия, которая
the essence that gives us care,
дает
warmth,
заботу и любовь.
and love.
Нас выпинывает
If the father pushes us out of the nest, telling us to go and explore the world, the mother walks behind, picking up the candy wrapper,
здесь там
tucking in a blanket.
одеялко подоткнуть.
The mother is the mother. In the new album, there is a lot of real piano.
Такой периодичностью, ну,
That's another story. For me, the piano is a great source of
я
inspiration.
исследовал этот дом. Я
Even many of my electronic parts are born from playing a live instrument.
и спустя
This piano has a special story. For about 30 years, I had dreams of a house I kept exploring room by room. But there was always one room I had never entered.
за комнату, то есть прям при входе
2 years ago, I realized I needed to open it.
в двери
At the entrance stood large oak double doors.
находится
Then I opened them. I found myself in a high ceiling room with tall windows.
с окнами. И прямо передо мной мне просто преградил путь старый Берштейн,
And right in front of me stood a huge old grand piano,
завален
a Bernstein
какими-то
or something with its lid open,
глобус, какие-то
covered in papers, globes,
явно
and dust. It was clear that no one had lived there for ages. My first impulse was to press the keys, and as I reached out my hand, I woke up.
клавиши, и я начинаю тянуться рукой к этим клавишам и просыпаюсь. И на следующий день я
The next day, I went to my studio, plugged in my MIDI keyboard, opened a felt piano library, and started to play.
играть. И я понял, что когда я начинаю играть на фортепиано, я соединяюсь вот с этим
And I realized that when I play the piano,
вот в этой
I connect with that grand piano from the dream, the one standing in that forgotten room.
в это время я понял, что
Strange but beautiful.
я
After some time, I felt I needed a real instrument.
разных
I started visiting piano shops in Barcelona,
понимаю, что да,
trying new instruments. They all sounded fine, but
нет вот этой,
something was missing. I don't know,
даже не знаю,
no soul,
нет души,
no warmth.
какого-то тепла, потому что они знают.
Then my friend, pianist,
Что
told
я
me,
сделал, я
find a tuner.
знакомому директору,
They know where to look for real instruments.
и она дала мне контакт.
So, good idea. I did it. Through a music school director, I found one.
Мне нужно пианино.
Then I came to his shop.
5 инструментов.
He said, I've collected some pianos over the past 10 years. Maybe one of them will speak to you.
Этот
And I saw it, a Czech Petrov from 1978. It creaked like an old chair.
скрипел,
I sat down and immediately knew
сел.
this was the one. The story of this piano is amazing. It was once stolen from the tuner.
Он случайно
He had rented it out, and both the piano and the client disappeared. Years later, by pure chance, he found it in another place. Someone had resolved it again.
Мне, конечно, пришлось
He bought it back, restored it, and brought it home.
зазвучать
I invested time and love to make it sing again,
невероятно,
and now it sounds incredible.
его спокойно можно
I think maybe comparable to a modern Boston. The beauty of this instrument is that it almost plays itself, even if you are not a pianist. Just touch the black keys and it feels alive, breathing.
живет. В музыке для спящих богов в этом втором альбоме есть 3
And music for the sleeping gods, there are 3 special collaborations.
Юлдашева.
The first one is, of course, with Dinaram,
И представим
Dinara Yuldasheva.
на этом альбоме
We present a song called Under the Mother's Heart,
эта песня.
sung in Bashkir language.
Я всю жизнь мечтал написать.
I always dreamed of writing a song in Bashkir because Bashkortostan feels like my second grandmother.
Я попал в Башкирию в 2010 году.
I first came there in 2010. and I never stopped loving that land.
свою любовь, там я
I met my love there,
родился сын.
I got married there, and my son was born there.
Очень глубоко в моем сердце. И мне очень хотелось, чтобы в этом альбоме
It's deeply rooted in my heart,
присутствовало и,
and I wanted that energy to live in the album.
наверное, наилучшем виде из всех тех, которые я мог представить. Удивительная синхронизация.
Dinara and I have almost astrological connection.
Динара умеет
She always appears at the right time in my creative life. I rarely collaborate, I simply don't have time, as I focus mostly on my own music and production. But whenever Dinara sends me something,
в моей жизни случилось.
I drop everything and dive into it.
Была уже написана мелодия, была идея.
That's how it was with Lullaby
В какой-то момент
and with Bogorodica, Divine Mother Invocation track. She's like a hacker. She breaks into my creative system and opens a portal for new music to be born.
или какую-то бабушку,
That's how
которая
Under Mother's Heart came to life. At first I imagined shamans from South America, but the track asked for her voice, for the Bashkir language. So I sent it to her,
для этой песни
and she quickly wrote beautiful lyrics. We recorded her vocals remotely, and the song was born. Deep, sacred, and full of tenderness.
Вторая коллаборация
The second collaboration is with Elina Jan, a wonderful singer I met here in Barcelona.
с очень интересной.
That I love about her is her honesty.
Это искренне,
She sings about the pain,
очень искренне.
truthfully, without masks. Not everyone is ready to talk about pain, but she talks about it more sincerely. This song too is dedicated to the feminine energy, and it's sung in Armenian.
Энергия.
It's important to say that this song is based on the practice of Ho'oponopono. The third collaboration is with Maria Maltseva, another singer from Barcelona. She works with Lex van Sommeren, one of the pioneers of healing music.
Майтрей.
Then I heard her voice, I felt deeply moved by her energy. Together we created a hymn of Buddha Maitreya, a powerful electronic composition filled with layers of vocal textures. These three collaborations become the true jewels of the album. My new album, Music for the Sleeping Gods, is expected to be released in November 2025. May your journey, both inner and outer, be a blessed one.